Ooh, ha 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 ha, boys and girls, hello. Happy Halloween. I am your hostess this week. You can call me Nurse Ratcheted. Sometimes they just like to call me Nurse Ratchet. And there's a real good reason for that. Because when I take your blood pressure, I apply more. That's right. Look at it's all about the look, right? From head to toe. Of course, you won't be seeing the bottom part. If you want to see that, you can always go to the Nakia VIP and see so much more. What a naughty nurse I am. My belt won't stay on. That's okay. The whole outfit's going to come off later anyway. So anyway, happy Halloween, Horrorween for those of you in 2020 something, whatever year this is. Like the nails? I was dying to get them done. I'm sorry, I'm living for my look right now. Is that okay? Is it like the moment of silences because I'm pausing and I'm like posing for pictures? And we're going to take those pictures and we're going to put them on the gram. Do people still care about the gram? I have to tell you, between Facebook and Instagram working in tandem to decide people's careers and to decide who's bad and who's good and who, it's like Survivor over there. I don't know how much I still care about it as much as, and I didn't really care before, but I don't know if I care for it as much as anymore. So if you don't know, Facebook has a really bad habit of suspending people constantly for no reason at all. And sometimes it's justified, but most of the time it's always against the person who is defending themselves from like some crazy person that's attacking them. And then that crazy person attacks you and then they report your response. That happens to me a lot. This time, however, was really odd. Now, for those of you who are watching this, because I'm trying to post the whole episode, I post a picture, which I'm not afraid to post again. I'm going to post it right now. Look, there it is. I post this picture of myself, and in this picture, you don't see anything. I mean, you kind of see like my crotch area, but you see that in any picture where women are wearing lingerie or bathing suits or anything of that nature, and they post that all the time. Excuse me. They post that all the time on Instagram and Facebook. So I don't know. At the time, I didn't know why that picture got instantly removed. You didn't even see it. Instagram was like instant removal. What I found out is they now read keywords on the screen, the AI, keywords on the screen and keywords in your text. Of course, they already were reading hashtags as it is, but they're reading keywords in your text. So if you even joke about something that's of sexual nature or violent or anything at all, you cannot even have a sense of humor now because the AI reads this, assumes that it's something bad, and it flags it, removes it, whatever the case may be. So I don't know if a human being ever even looked at the photo and made a second decision. Doesn't matter. Instagram put it back up an hour later, but by then it was dead in the water. But Facebook, which is basically Instagram, decided to take that same photo, and I didn't post it on Facebook. I posted it in my story on Instagram, and it went to the Facebook story. And it took the photo from my story, which has no text attached to it, and it flagged that too. They gave me 31 days of punishment for that. Okay, I had already been punished for something else. They gave me punishment for that. And the punishment was, and it was very clear, and I posted, was that they would make sure that I wasn't seen for 31 days by the majority of my followers or anyone in the public that didn't already follow me. So that's the kind of power they have, is like, we don't want you to be seen. You're not seen. We don't like your post. It's getting a lower percentage of viewage on it. So know that if you felt like you're being paranoid, if you felt like, the world's out to get you, there's a conspiracy, there might be a conspiracy. You might not be wrong about that. Okay. So I don't give a shit, but I feel like I just wanted to share that story because that's been what's been going on for most of October, end of September for me. So that's why I have been posting, but if you haven't seen it, that's why you haven't seen it, was because I was punished by Facebook. And of course, they're connected to Instagram. So of course, Instagram was hiding it too. And immediately the day after my punishment was over, I did post about Kanye West, and those went right up, instantly. If you do something dramatic, if you do something toxic, negative, those go right into the sphere where everyone can see it, into the stratosphere, and get lots of views and comments and likes, dislikes, whatever. So I don't know what they're up to. I'm just going to take a swig from my Las Vegas tumbler. I'm still missing Las Vegas. I waited my, ooh, did I just have like a hub moment? A little bit just dribbled down my face. It's not the first time. And in this outfit, it won't be the last. Okay. Anyway, I told you I'm Nurse Ratchet. Anyway, so, okay. Let's get into those said hot topics, shall we? So the topic that I brought up the other day that shot right up to the top of the views was Kanye West. So we're going to get into Halloween stuff and Horrorween and all that good stuff, but Kanye West, he's really been causing a lot of mayhem. And the thing is, I want to stay in a place in this conversation about him where we're just dealing with facts. Just facts. So first I wanted to say that no matter who the perpetrator is, whether or not they have a mental disorder is not up for discussion if they have done something wrong, right? So I want to be very clear about that because this has been coming up a lot in the dialogue that people have been having with me online. They're like, he has a mental disorder. How dare you even say anything about him because he has a mental disorder? And I don't think that's where we need to go in our country, in our culture, in our future. You are still allowed to comment on someone's bad behavior and bad choices and things that they choose to do and say, even if they have a mental issue. That is not making you make fun of them. There's a difference between randomly bullying a mentally challenged child in high school or middle school or elementary school and an adult who may have a mental disorder that's not completely under control doing something bad. And by the way, it still applies to also people who are under the age of 18. For instance, I'm pretty sure that the kids that go and shoot up their schools are not mentally well. Someone who's of good mental capacity, someone who's happy with their life, they're not shooting up a school. Okay, they're not going in and shooting everybody down. They're not doing that. So obviously that person is mentally unstable. So me commenting on that, commenting on what they did, calling them a POS, saying that they should, burn, go to prison for the rest of their life, be buried under the prison, that doesn't seem to be a problem with people because of what they did. So if Kanye doesn't do that, up until something of that magnitude, I have to use kid gloves with him? No, he doesn't use kid gloves with us. In fact, I think it's actually insulting to Kanye West to keep coddling him and saying that he's mentally unstable. I don't think he wants you to say that anyway. From what I'm getting from watching him, I think you're actually doing him a disservice because you're also saying that his thoughts are not his own, that you can't have it both ways. You can't say he's a genius. Okay, you can't say that his brain is so magical, he's a genius, but his brain is also so broken that he doesn't know what he's doing. He either does or he doesn't. You can't play both sides of it. And they'll say, well, he's bipolar. Okay, but he has way more people in his life than a lot of us. He has a lot of people in his life. He has so many people in his life that he pays for, okay? Family and friends and his boys and his crew that could be helping him, giving him his meds, making sure he's taking them, crushing them up and putting it in his just give it to him in one of his shakes or something. You know what I mean? Like, make sure he stays on his meds. But they're not. They're not making sure that he's taking his meds. They're not making sure that he's okay. And there's a reason for that. And that's the thing that we're not getting to. We're not seeing what's going on behind the scenes. So when people come at me and they're like, oh, well, he wanted to get fired from Balenciaga. He wanted to be done with all of these people so he could do his own thing. No, he didn't. He may have wanted to do his own thing and make some adjustments and have more power and control and say over certain things. But I can promise you this, he definitely did not want to be annexed from Fashion Week and Vogue magazine from Anna Wintour. No, trust me, he did not want that. He adored Anna Wintour and he adored being able to sit in her circle and be at those events. And he can sit there and say he's going to do his own thing and start his own thing. But that's, that's like looking through a glass pane. We can see right through that. So that's after the fact, right? So my whole thing is this. Here's what I know about Kanye that I know just off the top of my head. I don't need a piece of paper. I don't have a prompter. I'm just telling you what I know from knowing him and watching him in this industry, in the spotlight for a very long time. I've watched him go to the White House and tell Trump on camera he's the father he never had. Verbatim. You're the father I never had. You're the father I wish I had. That is alarming to me because he is a black man telling someone who has not been great to the black community, never mind, wasn't a great president to those of us who feel that way, that he's lacking a father figure and he's looking to someone who has been known as a con artist to fill that void. That's scary enough as it is. Never mind the things he's done to the black community, things he's said about blacks and Latinos and women. Those are all horrific things that Trump has done and said on camera, and probably a lot in public, private, excuse me. Oh, these damn eyelashes. I'm always struggling with these damn eyelashes. But then he did recently his fashion show where he wore the White Lives Matter shirts. And I don't care what his reason he claims behind that. I don't care what he says. What he did was he made sure two things happened. That he put children in those shirts and people of color in those shirts that did it because they were getting paid to do it. And he stood next to Candace Owens, who is basically well known online by people who do not like her for being attached to white supremacy and speaking white supremacist talking points. He knows that. He knows that is what she's known for. So you put a woman next to you who is known for speaking white supremacy out her mouth, talking points right out of her mouth, next to you in a shirt, and you wore the shirt as well that said White Lives Matter, and you knew what you were doing when you did that. And then you went a step further and said that George Floyd didn't die from being murdered by Derek Chauvin, but in fact he died because he's a drug addict, which is another white supremacist talking point. And so now that's three things right there that connect him to white supremacy, him wanting to be accepted into the white culture. And there's not a nice way to say it. He's Uncle Ruckus. He's shucking and jiving. He's giving jigaboo. He's giving very much, please let me in the house, I don't want to be out in the fields anymore. I mean, that's what he's giving us. And so that right there, those are all things he really did. You can get mad at me, you can go debate me about why he did it. That's your choice to do that, especially if you are a black person. That is your choice as a black person. If you would like to say that you don't see it as that and that you think that he's got some other covert genius plan that he's got, I'm not going to have that debate with you. You don't align yourself with people who degrade your own people for their skin and say you have a plan and agenda. Your plan and agenda is to align yourself with them. That's the plan. That's the agenda. That's what he's done. And he's consistent about doing that. Okay, so put that aside. Then let's not forget, he spent the majority of last year into this year harassing, stalking, and lambasting Pete Davidson. He was harassing and threatening his wife. He was harassing and threatening Pete Davidson. He was making music videos about, ending his life. And of course, his fans, they just, it's just art. You don't understand him. He has a genius plan. He's a genius. How about we stop making excuses for constant and consistent bad behavior? When he says something smart or something interesting or pithy, he's a genius. And then when he does something bad like this, he has an agenda. He has a real reason. They keep making excuses, which, by the way, we've seen this before with his pseudo daddy. It's the same thing. And this is what I said on Facebook. I said, it is the same scenario that we dealt with as independent, liberal, non-conservative Trumpism individuals, mostly Trumpism individuals, Because I can be a little conservative, but this is me I'm being very conservative right now. I am a healthcare worker. But I have to tell you, all seriousness, all the jokes aside, this is identical. It's a different complexion, but the situation is identical. I am having the same exact conversations with the people who have come like this for Kanye that I did with the Trump people. They come in and they're like, "Oh, you just don't get him. You're not really a fan." And I'm like, "Well, no, I'm not. I'm not a fan. No, I like his music. I own one of his records, a couple of them. Actually, I was going to show you guys on camera one of them that I found in my storage. The was it not The Graduate, The Dropout, right? I have that one and it's really nice. It unfolds, it's beautiful. Like, I save a lot of those things because they're like collector's items, and relics, really. But that doesn't change who he is now. Just because he did that then doesn't change who he is now. I'm not going to let a couple of good songs make me be like, well, so he said he was going to kill his wife and her boyfriend. Like, he's funny. No, that's not how I work. Now, if that's how you work, that's your choice. That's not how I work. So now he did that. So let's put that aside. So he's aligned himself with white supremacy. He literally harassed her. I mean, I could go on and on with details, but you can just Google it, YouTube it. There's so many scenarios where he was either harassing her online or sending her horrible messages, voice messages. I mean, he was scary, and he's still doing it. He's doing it now to, oh gosh, I can't remember that guy's name, but there's a few people who've been posting voice messages and text messages that he is sending them and threatening their lives. Like, this is real. Okay, so put that aside. So that's two things. The last piece of the puzzle is what just recently happened, which is that he said, he's going to go DEF CON, whatever, on the Jewish community, which was like, yeah, that's not a good idea. You don't want to say that, that's a big deal. Now, I might turn some of the audience back in my favor that are against me right now about Kanye. I don't agree with what Kanye said. But I do find it interesting that they didn't seem to care too much about all the stuff he was doing to Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson, and they didn't care about the White Lives Matter shirts enough to, do a full cancel culture routine on him. But when he went against the Jewish community, they were real quick to come after him. And I'm like, gee, I wonder which community is more important to the industry than the other. Because it kind of seems like they didn't care that he was harassing women and that he was insulting and essentially, coming after the Black community. But golly gee, the minute he opened his mouth and said that about a certain community, then all of a sudden all the doors closed. And I think it was a bad idea. Sip on that. Take a sip on that. Not him, them. I think that was a bad idea. I'll tell you why. Because what they did was, for the conspiracy theorists, nutbags, and the lunatic obsessed that are like Kanye, Trump fans, now they're new Kanye fans, and they want to, they will not, they keep siding with him no matter what, right? And they believe the nonsense that he's putting out, because he is a conspiracy theorist of the highest regard, and he's a billionaire, which makes it dangerous, right? But here's the thing. He said that they were, in control of everything, and, and how evil they are and all this stuff. And then what did they do? They proved they were in control of everything, and they destroyed his career, right? Or tried to destroy his career. So that's not a good idea, because what you just did was make it very obvious that they have a lot of power. Now, of course, that's not really what happened. What really happened is, some companies are owned by Jewish families. Some people feel like what he said was so outlandish that they side with their Jewish relatives and friends. And then other companies and other businesses, they don't want to look like they side with anti-Semitism. So they, of course, have to fall in line. I don't like that wording, but that's the truth. They fall in line, and they made sure to shutter their doors to Kanye West as well, excuse me. So because of that, it appears to people who are not well educated, to people who are not business savvy, who don't see the broader picture or the nuance, really, it appears to them that that's the proof. The Jewish mafia has shut him down, right? And that's not the case. That's nowhere near the case. But by them working in tandem to keep him out of Fashion Week and get him out of Adidas and Balenciaga, and he's canceled from this, and his agency dropped him, and this and that and everything else. It makes it look like, there you go, they are in control, and this is them showing how much control they have. Whether it's true or not, that's how it's going to look to the people that Kanye is pandering to. And let us not forget, he ran for president in 2020. Now, of course, he didn't, 2020. Of course, when he ran for president in 2020 and 2021, he wasn't really, I mean, maybe he would like to be president. I'm sure he would love the power of being president. But the reality is that he ran for president to usurp a lot of votes away from Democrats to help Daddy, I love you, Daddy. So that's what he did, and that's why he did it. And we should be afraid, because as I said before, seeing the comparison between the Trump voters and how they speak to me because they don't like what I'm saying, whatever is fine, you know, what they disagree with me, and now seeing how the Kanye fans are speaking to me, and it's identical. You could just swap out. I mean, one guy, he literally said to me, he was like, he's a genius. Look what he did and how much he's accomplished. You can't do that without being smart. He's a genius. He knows exactly what he's, you. And I'm like, that's exactly what they said about Trump. And I promise you, that man is not a genius. He's like, oh, well, you must not have his albums. He's like, you don't know the music. You don't know the culture. I love when people say that shit to me. Like, how do you know what I like, what I own, or what part of the culture I know? You don't know nothing about me. I know you're looking at this and you're thinking the only thing she knows how to do is put things in her mouth. It's not the only thing I know how to do. It's just one of the good, that's just one of the things I'm really good at. Okay. Delicious. But here's the thing. I do know his music, and he is a talented musician. That is not a genius make. You can be a talented musician and not be well read, which, by the way, he admits he doesn't read books. Kanye, he doesn't read books. Okay. So you can be great at something and be terrible at another thing. I feel like I'm great at a lot of things and I'm terrible at a lot of things. A genius, however, brings a lot more to the table and has I would hope, a storied life, a very, robust education, and wouldn't want to turn into a madman. Unfortunately, some of them do, but Kanye is not a genius, and he's not brilliant when it comes to politics, when it comes to social justice, when it comes to social issues, definitely when it comes to race. Anyone who says that slavery was a choice has to go. All right, we're going to pick up with the Halloween portion of this Halloween episode right after the break, and we're not going to talk about Kanye anymore. Happy Saturday morning, kids. Are you ready for some cartoons?
Sounds good to me.
To be trapped on an island with. The pink hole.
It's a ravioli romp.
Oh, shit. Not them little demons. What in the same? Oh, Jesus. It's totally her. I'm getting it. Like, it was important for kids to see all that. I'm glad that I grew up learning all that. I'm glad what I watched wasn't, sterilized and turned into marshmallow fluff, because I love a nice strong Miss Piggy. White photos mess me up. Quiet!